Hey, Brett.
What's going on, man?
It's all good. Let's learn some more shit.
Yeah, more shit, huh?
I gotta say, I did not get through mode 4 yet. It's like
Yeah,
it came at me too quickly, and I was still like trying to figure out the first scale.
yeah,
Like I came up with a real good system, like I showed you, but like for the people
right.
listening, for me, just to start orienting myself, which is sort of based on triads, and like I know that like you went through an entirely different process with this stuff because you're a freak and and you know you just no but it does seem to me like you have this ability for deep dives that is sort of beyond the non-average Joe. You know what I mean? So there's yeah, I can scratch a lot of surfaces, but I need to find these cheat codes, these systems that
Yeah,
work for me that like kind of give me access while it seems to me like you're attempting to actually get a full lay of the land with these
well,
very
yeah, but I mean, I got little things too. I mean, I find little
yeah.
things that help me, you know.
Yeah. But I mean I think something that I mean, well, I do want to get into like, you know, different scales and flush a little more of this out. But before that, like, I think a real big difference between like me and you in approach to learning was that, like, for me, I never transcribed
Hmm.
uh, full things.
Yeah,
And then even when I did, on the rare occasions, I would never spend the time learning them, like
yeah,
bringing them up to like some sort of like performance level.
yeah,
And it's partial laziness, partial philosophy. You know, I think it's
yeah.
like
I get it. Yeah,
there's a place where those two meet. But one result of that approach is that the things I know in scales, in arpeggios, are very short.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't have in muscle memory like things that are like a bar long. Like my
Right.
my vocabulary tends to be like made with pieces. Like I don't think any good improviser can play music from a place where they're putting together things note by note, like event by event. You have to have these clumps of musical
Yeah,
vocabulary, but mine tend to be like a beat to 2 beats long. And like when you were sending me some of the examples and I was going through them and and I was asking sort of how you were chunking those longer lines, and you said like to you it's one long thing. So
yeah,
that to me was a real revelation, right? The fact that like you have things in your mind that are a bar of 16th notes, and to you that's not a long thing. That's like a
right.
typical slice of information. So I
Can
think
be. Yeah,
yeah, so I think for people listening, like that should be maybe like something to meditate because that's a real like a good thing for people to ask themselves like how long, like when they're playing. I think a lot of for a blues rocker the fantasy is to be inside each note, right? And that's sort of like their difficulty transitioning to jazz. They have like a pentatonic scale. The idea of feel is sort of injecting your spirit into each moment in the music.
yeah,
And then there's a sort of resentment for lick playing in that idiom, which, you know, I get and don't get, but the idea of having these like things that are not licks, just like, long scalular ideas that you can weave in and out of, it's even foreign to me. So it's like
yeah,
that was something that gave me a lot of pause this week, just thinking about
yeah, yeah. um, yeah. I don't know, man. I mean. I have stuff that's kind of like that. I mean, I try not to like, fall back on that stuff too much, but it's there,
Yeah,
Like if I'm
yeah,
having an off night or whatever, I got stuff to draw from,
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. No, that's. I mean, I guess that's a part of studying this stuff to a high level. Just to if if you have the ability, to clump a bunch of the harmony into where like you're playing one scale for a length of time over a bunch of chords for a few bars, and you have something worked out. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
a movement, like a movement type thing. That's kind of what I felt like he was doing. So when I analyze his solos, or when I'm playing them, right? So that's the thing when you learn one of his solos all the way through, um, you start to pick up on kind of like, oh, I see kind of how he's connecting some of this stuff, and he'll be in like a movement that's something he plays a lot, and then he'll go into something like see the scale and just be kind of um, juggling the notes around in a scale, and then back into a movement.
hmm yeah.
So
I mean, I
that's
think my misunderstand. I was using similar terminology before we met to describe something very different. Like I never used the term movement, but like me and Danny would always say moves. And to us, moves were just lingering around an area of the instrument.
yeah,
Um, and, it could be like playing a few notes of an arpeggio into a scale run, but it's usually like that kind of length of idea. And then it would connect to another move. So, but it's not like I'm playing short lines. But when I
right,
look at my own playing, like a one measure line will have five compartments to it that to me are separate, and the improvising is sort of seamlessly connecting it to where a listener can't tell where the seams are.
right, yeah, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like with these kind of Holdsworthy movements, like even when we're talking about, you're saying like you're seeing this whole thing is one thing, and I get it because they are climbing the instrument in such a, I guess, unique way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like for him, like there's this thing in the major scale that he does. You can find this in almost every solo that he does, or it'll be a variation of.
What are you doing?
So it's just major seven with a
Yep.
six, or
Yeah.
right, and then he'll play that, and then he might go like that's
Yeah.
a Tokyo Dream lick, that part.
Yeah.
But like he might play that into this movement. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So these are all things that he's played 1,000 times.
Yeah, I get it. But like that chunk of that length of time for an idea is something that I can really identify with as a player.
Yeah,
Like, even when you gave me something like this, I immediately my mind broke that into three, four note patterns, right?
oh, right. Yeah,
And like I can't. For me, it's sort of difficult to see that as one thing, but I
yeah,
think maybe it's just because maybe I will once the motion and that kind of like this diagonal in the guitar becomes a little more immediate for me. I think maybe it's
yeah.
just kind of like my mind coping with this
Right.
this just this brand new
Yeah. I
material.
mean, I guess maybe, like I'm not good at memorizing solos or licks. I'm not really good at that.
Yeah,
I mean, part of like learning one of his solos all the way through, it was a challenge. I mean, it was really challenging for me to memorize that
yeah,
stuff, and like I can't play one of his solos all the way through right now. Like,
yeah. It's something you have to
you
up.
know what I mean?
Your
It's just
classical
something
player
that
needs to keep repertoire.
like when I'm working on a solo or transcribing a solo, by the time I finish writing it out and have the fingerings figured out and everything, I can pretty much play through the solo.
Uh huh.
And then I figure out the harmony, and I'm trying to figure out like see how he's connecting things, you know. Then once I see, you know, so I found all these little movements and stuff that were things he did over and over again. And there were the things that like I really liked about his playing.
Yeah.
So obviously those things stuck in my playing.
Yeah.
Know? So they're there, and like that's part of the reason I probably get the clone comments or whatever, right? But I try not to like you know, rely on that stuff super heavily, but it's gonna come out, you know.
Yeah.
But
I'm just working on the stuff to where I can start getting the clone comments.
Yeah, you want the clone comments.
I want the
comments are bad. What's bad is I got like a bunch of people cussing me out and like calling me like a loser and like all kinds of shit, man. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I need some of that in my life.
People thought I faked it, like when I did the drums yellow thing. They thought it was fake.
Fake?
Like, you're not even really playing. They thought I faked it. Like I got nothing better to do than mime to a solo.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's internet hatred is
yeah. Anyway, I mean,
fake.
yeah, I mean it's whatever. I've gotten over it. You know, I just started trolling them back.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, so like, you know, I'm not good at memorizing like long things. Like I don't even know any of my etudes all the way through. I mean, I learned the one for mode 6 this week just so I'd have something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the reality though of repertoire. Like once your things kind of go beyond a certain level of complexity, they require upkeep. You know?
Yeah, and I can't do that.
Atrophy away.
I really just want to see the scales and then just kind of juggle notes around, try to hear melodies, and that's what I'm trying to do, you know.
Yeah. It's and I'm with you. I think that's the goal here, and people need to remember that, like, you know, at the end of the day, this is an approach to improvising, you know, that you can compose from too. You know, that's the primary thing we're dealing with. Right. All right, so we know that mode 4 is that 8-note scale. Mode 5 is the 6-note kind of abbreviation of it that you also said you didn't find any examples of Alan actually using.
Yeah, I didn't really find mode 5. No, so not yet. That doesn't mean he didn't use it, but I haven't analyzed every solo, so it's like, you know.
So what is mode 6?
So mode 6 is just the whole tone scale with some added tones. Right. So
how many notes are in it?
8.
8.
So you're going to add a 4th, and you're going to add a major 7th.
It's beautiful. All right. Is that right? Yeah. No, it's not. Fuck. How do you figure that? Oh my god. Okay. Is that the absolute best way to think about that? I guess so.
Well, this scale has like a lot of really weird subsets. Obviously, whole tone is a subset. Yeah. Mode 5 is actually a subset.
Mode how would you get mode 5?
Mode 5 starting on B.
E or B flat, right?
Well, I mean, to me, it's B because I'm seeing this as.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you do. Got that.
You got that row of semitones and tritone.
Yeah.
Do you have anything normal in there?
Not super normal. We've got a few things that might be helpful. So you've got like F melodic minor drop 2, right? So
right. Okay, I can see that.
And then you've got C Ionian sharp 5, which is drop 6, which is a mode of harmonic minor, so it's a rootless harmonic minor.
Okay, so like A harmonic minor, no A.
No A, right.
Yeah, those are the ones that don't help, huh?
Yeah, That's why I think of it as like Ionian sharp 5, because then I've got, you know, the root.
You can think about it from a point. Yeah.
Yeah, from the one of the modes, right? So, and then you've got C Lydian sharp 5, drop 6, which is a melodic minor with no root.
Right. Right.
You know what I noticed this, there's some solos that or some scales I analyzed of Alan's in the book when I was analyzing the solos, and there were scales, like when I looked at the voicing, all the notes of the chord were in the scale except for the root, which was pretty interesting, you know.
So, like, you think he intentionally avoided it?
All the notes of the chord. What did I just say? All the notes of the chord were in the scale except for the root. You know?
Uh-huh.
So it's like a rootless scale.
Uh-huh.
Wrap your head around that one.
Yeah. So what are some ideas like from this, or
well, a couple other subsets, see if they help. You've got the C dominant bebop scale, drop 5 and 6, right? So
C dominant, the 8-note scale.
Yeah, so
so it becomes kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-note scale. So you take the 8-note bebop scale and you take out 2 of the notes. Right. That's kind of useful, actually. That's easy to see for some reason. Okay.
Like
my brain's not functioning. Okay, so you got this. Okay, so no 5, no 6.
Right. No 5, no 6. You know,
so
I would
really when I was in one area of the octave and then nothing.
Right. Yeah. So when I was logging all these scales, you know, I'd play through them as I logged them, and like on all the root points and stuff, trying to figure out kind of, because some of it I couldn't really see at all. I was like, I don't know what the hell this is, you know. And I remember stumbling onto this, and I was like, oh, that's like a bebop scale with 2 notes missing, you know. So like bizarre. Really bizarre shit, you know. But you screw around with that stuff, and it's just all part of the scales that he would have logged. So it's interesting, you know.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. What other subsets are in there?
So one other one would be F half whole diminished, only 7 notes, right? So if you're starting from C, then you got C, D, or we can start from F, F sharp, G sharp, B, C, D, right? So yeah, you get that.
So just those 6?
Yeah.
That's kind of an easy pattern because you can, wait a second, what? Do you have a G in it or no G?
No G. No
G.
So F, F sharp, G sharp, B, C, D.
Play that again.
So it's just... This is one of the subsets in mode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got all that stuff too. A lot of the same subsets as mode 4 had. So you've got like the minor third half step in tritones. Right. You've got
starting from G sharp.
Starting from G sharp or D. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And you've got starting from B flat, you've got the half step, whole step minor third, or that half step minor third.
Also in tritones.
Tritones.
Yeah. Yep.
Starting from B, you've got the half step, whole step shape. We just did that. That was the same as this one.
Yeah, just like an inversion of that. Yeah.
Same as that. And then we've got the whole step minor third starting from, which you liked that one, right?
I do like that one, yeah. Is that, well, I guess it depends how you would apply this, because would that start in a similar point? Like if you're applying it to a like minor chord, would that be from a different point than you would apply mode 4? And
It might be,
yeah, yeah.
depending if you're thinking of this scale, yeah,
Uh-huh.
could be, yeah. Then you've got the whole step, half step pattern starting from D.
So a lot of the stuff here kind of relies on that tritone.
Yep, and that's like mostly what Alan does with it too. You know, he does a lot of
So it's just like creating this kind of diagonal on the guitar.
Yeah,
rather than
right.
that
So
kind
like,
of diagonal like Messiaenmo does.
yeah, so one of the most common thing you'll see him play from this scale is this thing.
I love that. What is that?
So it's G, A, C, F.
That's like an, I don't know, how would you think about like an F arpeggio, or like some sort of F arpeggio, or and then just in tritone?
Yeah, in tritones. So that's like how he starts connecting stuff, you know. That went into mode 3.
That was mode 3, right?
So right, I went from like mode 4, so it went like 6 to 4 to 3. Right. So you're going through, those are all movements that he's using.
Typically, like I'm noticing that a lot of the switching between things happens right around that like GB string where the digital pattern would have to change.
Yeah.
Is that a thing, or am
I never thought about that, but
is that true, or is that false?
I don't know. Say that again so I can follow you.
So, like, I was noticing you're sort of carrying it right here, and then you would have had to
see your hands. But...
Oh, sorry. You would have. You were carrying it like right. Here. You would have had to kind of be compensated for just because of the way the guitar is tuned. But that seemed to be like the point where you would.
Yeah. Well, you'll see here in a minute. Like he doesn't always. Sometimes he does things where like so. There was that lick we did last week that was. So if he wanted to stay in that scale, he would have had to gone to A. But he actually goes like this, which is actually mode 3. I don't remember the whole lick. Anyway. So sometimes he will do, like you'll see in a minute, there's a couple examples where he just keeps doing the tritone thing all the way up, pretty much. You know,
with just figuring out, like he has the fingering under his fingers to.
Yeah. So that one, so that was like over an F pedal. So that's like G mode 6 over an F pedal.
G mode 6.
Yeah, so that was G. Yeah. So if you did that starting on C, right? Be that thing.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so that pattern that you're showing me is coming from sort of where you would see the beginning of the. Yeah, I know that like you don't see scales that way, but like how it's written. So that's starting from the root.
Yeah.
And then going in tritones.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. Then that's the most common one that he does. Like you'll see that's in like, a
lot of solos.
Yeah, a lot of solos that I
so you said, but that's applying to an F pedal. Like what kind of pedal? Like what's the What's
Well,
the?
that's actually from the Drums Are Yellow, so
Oh,
it's free. It's a free
yeah,
thing, but when I analyzed that solo, I found all these scales relating to F or like C minor, like F Dorian or C Aeolian. So to me, I was thinking he was probably thinking because he's talked about how he's always thinking of some sort of either root or like a, chord, even when there's nothing going on,
yeah, yeah. I can see that.
right?
Okay,
So
so but what kind of if you were
which doesn't sound like somebody that, go ahead.
if you were applying that specific lick scale to an F, what kind of F would it be?
Uh, well, you're about to get into that with
Yeah,
the next couple episodes, or it's
yeah.
like F7 flat nine, right? So this
How? But you have a G in there. That's the nine, right?
to
It's starting on G, so you have the nine as well as the flat nine.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So like this is another one of his lines that he does, and it just goes straight tritone. He's just taking one of the modes, and the pattern is what is it? I can't remember it now. Hang on a sec. Right?
Oh, that's like a
over,
code, like 1, 2, 4, 5 thing. Sounds like.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
and that's over that F7 flat nine. That's on the song Elsewhere.
What's the pattern one more time? Do you have it, Nick?
I'm not sure.
Freaky. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Wait a second.
Oh.
It's in tritones? Am I doing it wrong?
Yeah, tritones.
But I'm kind of hearing the first two notes as a pickup, and then everything like just like one, just like a Coltrane kind of 1, 2, 3, 5, right?
Yeah,
So
think of it that way if you want. Yeah.
you could do anything.
There's a lot of different ways to think about this stuff, but
So
like
you're seeing it as like and this is all in the scale, huh?
it's all in the scale. In G mode 6.
G mode 6. So that G is the starting point. Yeah, because you have that
Yeah.
last.
So this is like if you think of G, or if you're thinking of F7 flat 9, right? So you go up a whole step and play mode 6.
Yes. Okay, and this lick in mode 6 started on
Starts on one of the modes. So starting on the flat 7 of the,
Yeah.
of the F7.
on the flat 7 of F,
Yeah.
which happens to be the sharp 5 of G mode 6.
Right.
Right. Wow. You got that, Nick? But okay, so that pattern, was it this? I think that was it. That?
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. All right.
That's how he ends it. He actually goes.
This isn't the drums. The drums were yellow?
No, this was on a soft machine tune called Elsewhere.
Ah. I'm opening for them in like a week.
Oh, really? Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Killer.
Yeah. With John Etheridge now.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Alan can't make it.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
It'd be impressive if you did.
Yeah. How'd you?
Man.
That'd be the real mystery. Okay.
So another one of Alan's things here, apparel premonition, an A minor line. It's basically fourths. So he's going, oops, sorry.
Starting on the 5th?
Starting on, yeah.
How do you finger that guy? Yeah, that I get. That's what I was afraid of. Yeah. So that's okay. So wait a second. Which mode 6 is that?
So that's E mode 6, right?
So it's a fifth away from a minor chord.
Right. So it's like a dominant, 5 chord, 5-to-1 thing, man. You can't get, you can't get away from 5-to-1 in Western music, no matter what you fucking do.
Yeah. I can see that. Okay. That's something, you see, sometimes you say things that are so succinct to the way I'm thinking that I just to play fourths, moving in tritones from a 5 chord to the minor chord in my brain is just I can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just, that makes sense to me. That's not a part of the mystery.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as bad,
Yeah.
There's stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I can do
and
that.
This one, this next line is from very early, the song Very Early, so Bill Evans, right?
Yeah.
Over G7, and it's just from the root.
So, okay, I hear a false fingering for sure.
Yeah.
What's happening after that guy? So it's kind of like whole tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got that, it's got that one note that's not part of whole tone. So
Yeah. I'm guessing most people that would analyze
I would think it was an approach, like an approach note or something. But...
fools.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
They must see a lot of elbows and assholes. What I did there?
Anyway, that's just right off the root, so it's mode 6 off the root on a dominant chord.
I'm missing a note there still. Well, I mean, it's all going to be in the supplementary materials. This is actually time to address the people, because I know a lot of these folks that are watching this have bought your book, and that's great, but there are also packets for sale of supplementary materials, which basically nobody bought because they just go and buy your book, which is great. But they have different lines than the book that are kind of relevant.
Let me screen share so they can kind of see.
Oh, yeah. Let's
set up to screen share.
About it. And and if the people take screenshots and
bastards. Well, they can do that on this one, I guess. But so anyway, this is the way I have it laid out, right? So you got the mode 6 right up at the top, and then you got all the subsets that we talked about. You got the minor third, half step, all that patterns that we talked about. Some patterns I came up with.
I see.
And Alan patterns with the chords, what song it's from, everything.
Go quick.
Then we have like all these voicings and everything that you're going to get, right?
Okay.
And maybe I'll include my one one of my etudes from my book. I don't know yet. We'll see.
Oh, okay. So I'm
Okay.
just curious what your etude sounds like.
Oh yeah, here, hang on. Sounds crazy.
The crazy thing about things in this music is that I can't tell what's minor and major. I hear the
What we want it to be a mystery.
I mean, that's sort of something that, like, you know, through the years, I really felt like I got together.
For nothing.
Yeah, for nothing.
Oh man.
All right. So, how about some like of the chordal stuff that comes out of it to where we can start understanding? So, I can see. Okay, so we can think about chord leading us to a minor place, or a major place. Could be either. I'm guessing.
Yeah, could. Yeah, 5 to 1, 5 to whatever one you want, you know. There's no rules, man.
Why?
Rules are gone. That's part of the mystery. So chords that come from this scale, you've got like major triad, you've got like B flat major, you've got E augmented, F minor, B flat augmented, B major, B minor, you've got like a Lydian triad, right? And then D diminished, you've got C7 sharp 5, E7 over C, C major 9 no fifth, C major 7, C major 7 sharp 5. And people keep calling me today.
You have. Wait a second. How do you have C major 7? You don't have.
Got you've got E, B, and C.
Yeah.
Do what?
No G. So it's like major 7, no fifth.
Right, no fifth. Yeah, major 7, no fifth. But you do have sharp 5. So
yeah,
you have it. You've got D minor 7, no fifth again. So there's a bunch of no fifth stuff, right? D minor 9, no fifth. So just this voicing everybody knows. D minor 7 flat 5. You know, I mean, it's a ton of chords I have on here.
Yeah.
So, and then I have just a bunch of structures and stuff, you know, and there's like all this kind of stuff. You know, like all that kind of stuff, which that's kind of to me that's like a, you know, that McCoy Tyner kind of Herbie Hancock, you know.
Yeah.
Like the piano influences that I have came out like on this particular scale for some reason when I was writing the etude.
So like, yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of like borderline that, and also like Stravinsky and Bartok kind of thing, like just these chromatic sounding things with tons of like, you know,
right, yeah,
fifths stacked.
Yep.
Okay.
So ton of different chords, but the, you know, Alan, the most of the stuff that I've found him doing is like pretty simplistic.
From the scale?
From the scale, yep. So I haven't found like a lot of super crazy stuff. It's like moving stuff in tritones with that extra note or two in there somewhere, you know, so nothing super crazy, but it can get crazy, you know, like the etude that, so like that etude, I'll see if I play it slow on a clean tone. that's the etude. So like all these, that's all stuff that you find him doing.
Yeah.
So whether he did that in this scale or not, like I didn't find it in this scale, but you can do it.
Those sounded like diminished triads or major triads or augmented. What?
Those are augmented, right? Major third, major third. Right, I'm trying to find these minor third half step things, and then these are diminished, right? So,
Yeah, another nightmare.
what? I can't even hear you. I don't know, you're cutting out.
Oh, I said it's another nightmare.
Oh, yeah. Well, the etude kind of a nightmare. Yeah. But Alan's stuff's easy. I come up with like ridiculous shit for no reason.
Good though. Okay. All right. So I in terms of like, I don't know, you're vamping. Like because that's where I'm gonna start with this on like a D minor vamp.
Yeah, there you go.
Be like so I guess I can play it on an A7 to kind of move into the D minor. What are some other I could start to mess with?
I mean, I think that's the main thing that I've thought about with it is just that trying to find whatever, like a 5-to-1 type thing, or just find whatever chord I'm trying to play over a voicing of that chord in the scale. So like D minor 9, no fifth, or whatever.
So
that's typically what I
think that you were showing us, and I'm playing in D minor, so I would start like.
Yeah, so that one you could start it there. You could start it on. You should be able to start it on C too, right?
I.
Well, D minor. The D minor is in C, just with no fifth, right?
Okay.
You can move it in major thirds.
I can move it in major.
No, minor thirds over the D minor. So you're going from A mode 6 to C mode 6, right?
And I can keep moving it in minor thirds?
Well, I don't know about that for sure. I have to think about that for a second. Let me think about it. So let's see.
Yeah, I'm guessing not, because I don't think that's a metric structure.
No, that won't work. Just those two.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
A lot. Okay.
So you could take some of those patterns, like that Allen pattern, which I did find him doing that, where he was moving that thing. Right.
Okay.
I think I found him doing it in whole steps too, on like Texas.
Okay. It's so heavy, man. It's like I mean, it's like this first lap around the scales that we're doing is like really, by the time it's all kind of come out, like months. And that's just like, it's not even like surface level. It's just like, here's what the notes are. Here's some basic applications. Here's like 3 lines.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
It's more than I had when I discovered it all.
I was also going to say, Thomas and Brett were emphasizing last week that the folks at home shouldn't do them all at once. And we probably shouldn't either. But
yeah,
we'll get familiar. We'll spend more time with each of them individually. But it's, as we've talked about it in depth, you know, there's you could spend like, you know, years on just one of these scales. It seems like
We had a problem. We played a Gypsy Jazz gig on Sunday.
it was a problem.
And I kept throwing this shit in, and he would laugh. It wouldn't work, and he would also laugh when it did work.
Does work.
It's like, because he'd find it like hilarious that I'm like just destroying the song for no reason. Like the right thing of the dominant chord, be like, ha ha ha. And it's just like, there's no winning.
Yeah, can't win.
The audience doesn't care anyway, so I'm relying on Nick for like 100% of my feedback.
Yeah.
We're playing it at a venue that's owned by the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan.
Oh, really?
And he was watching our show, and I was throwing all this stuff, and thankfully I think that he knows so little about jazz that it was flying under his radar in the same rate that like super inside like harmonic minor 5 below. It just seems and see like, is this too much? And like, you know, and whatever we were playing, like, had to be you. And
That guy must have read the mystery. That's what he said.
Morgan is hip to the mystery, is the point. Didn't even finish.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to interject it into my solos, but it's
I don't know, like Thomas and I did, I guess when we did the Messiaen, when I first started experimenting with the Messiaen modes, we did one a week because I would make that his lesson.
Yeah.
And I'd write the etude, and I'd spend all week investigating the scale. I'd write an etude and like all that sort of stuff, find all these voicings and whatever I could find, and then make it one of his lessons. And then the next week we just went to the next one. We went through so that was like 7 weeks worth of lessons for him, you know.
But I mean, each one of these seems like a year of work, you know, at least.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like this one, this mode 6 one isn't one I messed with a lot after I wrote the etude or whatever. Like I didn't really get into this one too much. Like for me, like mode 3, mode 4, the jazz major, add flat 3, flat 6 is like predominantly what I've focused on, I think. And then and I have messed with the dominant one. Not as much as the flat 3, flat 6 one.
Sit with a little bit this week because it was for the folks at home, I know you know what I did, but like I just looked at the way you were mapping things off of intervals, like in terms of like the Holdsworth fingerings, which are like the minor third, half step, minor third. And my idea was like to take the starting points that are possible in each one of these scales and just divide them into triads and understand that triad in the same way that I would understand a substitution in the scale. So for instance, if I just take one of the like triads out of like C major, add flat 3, flat 6, that houses both these shapes, there's really only one, which is E major. If I use E major as starting points from the notes of E major, I can think about this or the other one, and then I would just take that E major and start asking myself questions about applying it to all the roots in the scale. So if I want, like, let's say, like that Phrygian side of that scale, like applying it to an E minor, then E major I would have to like think about sort of like one major to get that sound as starting point. So even if I'm playing a C major scale over that E minor, so it was like immediate access just symmetrically into that sound. And that sort of worked, like that worked really well with C major, add flat 3, flat 6, with Messiaen mode 3, with the minor add flat 7, flat 5, but with the dominant one, it was no good because it just didn't have a lot of those,
Yeah.
right? So it was more
Yeah.
like,
It doesn't have as many.
yeah, you had,
It's got more like the whole step shape and some of the other shapes, you know?
yeah, it has no, it's just kind of like it feels like a broken major scale or something, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
like,
I like that one for voicings. There's like a lot of really cool parallel voicings in that one, though, that I
yeah,
like.
move like one shape around. I totally
Yeah.
that for function, but like it's like just in terms of like, you know, moving lines around because it doesn't have as much of that thing in it. It's yeah, for me it was more like really had more of the sound of kind of, I don't know how to describe it, like applying the wrong mode almost. You know, like a major third on a Dorian is a part of
Right. Yeah.
that sound, without these big intervals to sort of mask it. You know,
Right.
to like judge the sound or anything, but just I still don't have like a good entry point into that sound. I haven't figured it out from like a way of visualizing it. But yeah, some of the other things I'm noticing I can see in real time using, you know, my own trickery to access it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's kind of like, I mean, for me, I guess I'm seeing those like off the 6 if I'm thinking D minor or off the 7th rather. And then I just see this, I just know that it's symmetrical there, right?
Yeah.
I just know like this is symmetrical here. And I can just go anywhere, right? But I just know where the symmetrical things are, you know?
So meaning like you have the same note collection, like
Right,
that you don't have to like move your index finger.
right. I don't have to move anything. I'm just skipping strings and going for the.
Yeah, obviously we're talking about the same thing, but I will clump that on like either an E, like E major triad, or
Yeah, I like that way of thinking. Like, I mean, I was messing with it, and like I feel like for me though, like it would help me get into maybe one of the keys I'm maybe less familiar with.
yeah,
But then as soon as I'm in that key, like I started to realize I know all these and all 12 keys better than I thought I did, because as soon as am in there and my mind makes the switch of what scale I'm in, I just see all my stuff,
yeah.
you know? So like I start seeing all the subsets, I start seeing all the minor third half step shapes and
But
start
Brett
seeing.
don't have stuff, okay?
Yeah, well, yeah. You gotta work on getting some stuff, man.
Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to do everything except for like, you know, what you tell me first. Like it can't working hard and learning these lines cannot be the way. Trick. No, but yeah, I mean, just my life experience it has led me to believe that everything needs to be easy. You know what I mean? That's like that nobody's a genius, and but then again, you know, it's like for me, the points where I keep finding that that's not the case is well learned stuff when you commit lines to memory and just make yourself make decisions in a repetitive way until some things become muscle memory, and it's just like
Yeah.
it can't be a part of your conscious choice making, right? It's like if
Right.
it's
Yeah.
your subconscious, it's not in your playing.
Yeah, that was so. I mean, one of Alan's quotes was he thought improvisation was the unconscious release of everything you've learned, right, or everything you know. But if you want to get it to the point where, yeah, you're not thinking about it, right?
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
mean,
not
that is in a way what we're doing when we're practicing, right? Because it's like
thinking.
if you give my 2-year-old a guitar, it's a physical release of her, just the physical motions she knows how to make. It's not a release of her subconscious. I mean, it's a release of her just, and I think a lot of people play that way. They just sort of throw themselves on the instrument with very little skill or knowledge. But like with practice, we just sort of program our subconscious to where we can release things that are to our liking. But I definitely find myself right now in this in-between stage where I'm at a gig and I'm like, oh, it's going to be real nice to apply minor thirds, half seconds to that E triad that's a third away from the chord I'm playing.
Yeah.
There's this very primitive dialogue happening in my mind to just make it, because I'm at a point where I can play in a way that people would like, and clearly that's not what I want to do. But I'm saying, like, I have an autopilot that will play inside the harmony and play lines that are coherent. And if I want to do something else, I have to sort of override that system. And if I don't, then it might filter its way through my playing over years.
Yeah.
But it's a conscious decision to, like, you're doing this, right? You are throwing that line into this tune now.
Right, yeah. So I don't know if you've seen that Brecker, there's a Michael Brecker book that came out where somebody got his practice journal, right? And they put it all into Finale or whatever, so it looks all, but it was his handwritten thing. And he has just a bunch of 2-5-1s in there and some cycle progressions, and digital pattern type stuff. And and then there's clinics where he talked about how long it would take for something he was working on to actually make it into his playing, could be years before it actually makes it in there.
Yeah.
And Alan too, Alan talks about, I've got a whole section in the book on practicing, and I've got all these quotes from Alan where I found him talking about how he practices, and all the different things that he would do. And it's the same stuff that we all do. I mean, he created backing tracks and stuff, so, and he would practice just like we all practice.
Yeah.
Simply not any different. But then he talked about how, it would take a long time for anything new to find its way in,
Sure. But yeah, I mean, I think, I do think that this way of, what it made me confront is sort of the things that I wasn't aware of in the way I was seeing the instrument, because it's I'm not really able to get rid of everything and start seeing it in a brand new way, where everything goes, right? So I have to say again.
I struggled with that too. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's that could be the longer project, but to get something in the thing, I had to attach it to something. So to me, triads is just something that I really see. And it makes total sense to me that for you, it can act like a Kickstarter, and then you're now I'm in and all this stuff. Because it's almost I see the little things that I've practiced from the scales. I mean, the thing about the longer, the point that I was making, I don't know, 20 minutes ago when we were talking about the chunking and the longer lines, is that when you deal with the smaller bits, you can see patterns that exist in many areas of a scale.
Right.
Those are very movable, and if you see that, you can, improvise in the choice making of moving things around, right? You're sort of driving the car, but when you're dealing with a longer chunk, it will inevitably only exist in one area of the scale, right? It's that's the only starting point. So that's sort of the difference between lick-based thinking. You're still improvising when you're playing licks. You're making small tweaks, small decisions, and every time you flush it out in time, it comes out different. There are games to be played even with that kind of thinking. But once the thing has a contour that's over a few beats, yeah, it really does seem to me like that's the only area of the scale, minus the Messiaen modes where it repeats in a couple of places. Especially
well, I mean, like some of those movements, like I have variations, right? So if I take, like I can keep this movement going in the jazz major flat 3 flat 6 thing. If I go, goes it, goes it, right? So it's there.
those things while you're
So I'm keeping that thing, but it's a little different every time.
right.
Whereas like with the Messiaen scales, it's exactly the same every time, just in major.
Saying this could be here. God help me. Jesus, give me the power to hit the right note right now. That's something like that. Something to keep from that contour.
Right, keeping that contour. The notes change a little bit. The fingering changes a little bit, but it's a motif kind of idea where you're keeping a basic thing going,
Yeah.
It's not the most melodic motif ever, but it's a more of a flurry type of thing.
Yeah. No, some things should never be slowed down. That is for sure.
Yeah, that stuff sounds way better fast.
Oh yeah, it's like tears your head off.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, once again, thank you for your time. I want to remind everybody to get the book in the mystery. That's the mother load. But we also have the smaller load, which is the supplementary thing, and yeah. So for you guys who love loads, yeah. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much, Brett, and we will see you next week. Are we talking about mode 7 next week?
We could either do that, or we could like talk about some movements and connecting into different keys and scales, and like that one that I was playing earlier, where it was mode 6 into mode 4 into mode 3. Like,
I think we all need that. Maybe we'll do mode 7 for another week after that.